Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
One thing was immediately clear in this reporter's question to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia, that Donald Trump, as his host in the Oval Office, was not going to let this line of questioning go on for very long.
Why should Americans
Who are
trust
you
you?
with?
And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the
But the
worst.
question is
One of the
legitimate,
worst
sir.
in the business. But I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
And so then, listen to this answer he's about to give, one that hints at something much more important than just the fake news insult.
As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
What you just saw was how Trump sees two key relationships: his relationship with the press and the U.S. relationship with a kingdom that is seen as a crucial key to the Middle East. Let me explain.
I'm in front of the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, where prominent Saudi journalist and political commentator Jamal Khashoggi has failed to emerge from the building.
He went missing on Tuesday. He went to the consulate building of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul, and he never came out.
The very uncomfortable question that put both Trump and the Crown Prince on defense was about the murder of this man, Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi journalist based in the United States as a columnist for the Washington Post. He was highly critical of the Saudi monarchy, making himself a political target. He was strangled to death in 2018 in the Saudi consulate in Turkey.
The breaking news just into CNN, and it is disturbing news. More information on the death, the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
As soon as he entered the building, virtually, he was strangled, and then afterwards his body was dismembered and disposed of.
Now, Khashoggi had enemies.
Hello and welcome to the interview here on France 24. My guest today is Jamal Khashoggi. He's a well-known Saudi journalist.
When he gave that interview to France 24, it was a year before his death, but just a few weeks after he had fled Saudi Arabia and what he saw as the increasingly authoritarian tendencies of its de facto ruler, Mohammed bin Salman.
It is becoming a one-man rule. He has a control of everything. He is creating an environment of intimidation and fear.
So when he walked into a Saudi consulate in Istanbul a year later for marriage paperwork and never came back out, there was an almost immediate suspicion about what happened and on whose authorization.
Did the Saudi government abduct and murder a Saudi journalist on foreign soil? And if so, will there be any consequences?
The simple fact that Khashoggi was killed in a Saudi consulate, a building under full Saudi government control, every entry and exit recorded, that would already have suggested the state was involved. The only real question being how high up the decision to kill him went.
This was highly orchestrated, well thought out. There was a kidnapping, the fact that it took so many people.
There were 15 of them. Most arrived in the dead of night, laid their trap, and waited for the target to arrive. That target was Jamal Khashoggi.
And here's the now declassified assessment of U.S. intelligence, that Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved an operation in Istanbul, Turkey, to capture or kill Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. That conclusion, based on the tight connections of those involved, directly to the Crown Prince, and most likely on his authorization, even his own elite personal protective detail involved. And here's a nod to motive, how the Crown Prince viewed Khashoggi as a threat and would have been willing to use violence if necessary.
Khashoggi's death was violent. He was killed by Saudi agents and his body dismembered with a bone saw, and it led to international condemnation of Saudi Arabia.
You wouldn't need access to sensitive intelligence to reach that judgment.
Something this consequential, something this big, something this daring, something this outside of the ordinary is not done without the approvals of the very top.
So to bring this back to the Oval Office, when Trump directly contradicts American intelligence, praising bin Salman and vilifying the victim.
As far as this gentleman is concerned, He's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
It seemed like Trump was alarmed that the person he's trying to make a deal with may have been insulted by this question from an American news agency. And to Trump, that was the most paramount concern.
This is what I think we can fairly call a pretty transactional approach to diplomacy, almost demoralizing the issue, stripping it of its weight, and for at least two sets of reasons. One, geopolitical, and the other, maybe very personal.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news.
So this reporter from ABC News is their chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. Trump didn't appear to know who she was.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
But he would soon enough, because she wasn't done with him.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter.
And here's where it's worth pointing out. The context here is not simply that Mary Bruce just got done asking another equally anger-inducing question about Jamal Khashoggi. It's that the news organization she belongs to, ABC News, has been in direct legal conflict with the Trump administration. 2023 was a real turning point for this relationship when a jury found Trump sexually abused magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll, but found him liable for defamation, not rape. ABC's George Stephanopoulos got that wrong on air, mistakenly saying that Trump had been found liable for rape, which turned into a $15 million problem.
You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter.
So yeah, this feels personal, but even more than that.
Mr. President, is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest?
So yes, this is that same reporter asking yet another pointed question of Trump. The Trump family business is one that, since becoming president, Trump says he has completely left behind.
I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over.
It's true that Trump has released the reins of the family business. He's off the board of directors, for example. But it's still a family business. His sons run the show.
President Trump's interests are aligned with his own children and their financial interest, including, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who has working relationships with Saudi Arabia, with Qatar, with the UAE. We know that Jared received $2 billion from Saudi Arabia for his investment fund. There are good reasons why President Trump, for his own familial interest, would not want to antagonize Saudi Arabia.
Over the next few years, the Trump Organization plans to build a Trump Tower in Saudi Arabia's second largest city, a luxurious new waterfront property slated for completion in 2029. Just outside the country's capital is Diriyah, what they call the birthplace of Saudi Arabia, the first capital of the Saudi monarchy. But now, where the Trump Organization has reportedly been in talks with the Saudi government for a real estate deal worth billions. These are just two projects. There are other business entanglements between the Saudi government and the Trump family that create possible conflicts of interest and that are part of this complex overlap between Trump the businessman and Trump the president.
If you were looking simply at the strategic interest involved, you can make an argument for an engagement, but not necessarily for that level of pomp and circumstance. The pomp and circumstance goes well above what was necessary in this case, and certainly what was appropriate given Saudi Arabia's track record and MBS's track record. So I think it's that personal touch that matters more than anything else.
And there's more.
It is indeed my honor to welcome to the White House a great friend and a man of leadership, vision, courage, and strength, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Ultimately, the easiest explanation for why Trump was so quick to dismiss a reporter's question about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi is that he may simply see much more than that at stake.
So that's why tonight I'm pleased to announce that we're taking our military cooperation to even greater heights by formally designating Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally.
It is a formal designation. As a non-NATO ally, a country is able to get preferential, faster access to certain types of defense articles, and that's the primary benefit.
Because Saudi Arabia isn't just the largest or among the wealthiest or religiously important countries in the Middle East, being both the biggest global exporter of oil and home to the two holiest cities in Islam. It's geopolitically a crucial counterweight to an American enemy in Iran. Its geography, its money, its oil, its investments give it major regional influence. And with direct access to both the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf, it has indeed come to be, over the better part of the last century, a key security pillar of the U.S.
Trump announcing he will allow the U.S. to sell F-35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia.
This would mark the first time that these stealth aircraft are given to an Arab nation.
And in the exact same way, you can't look at Saudi Arabia in isolation because it fits into this wider picture of the Middle East. You also can't even really look at the Middle East in isolation because it too fits into a much wider picture of East versus West.
There's also the matter of China. China has a relationship with Saudi Arabia related to defense. The U.S. is looking to lessen China's influence in the region, in Saudi Arabia.
All this to say, there was a lot burbling just below the surface when the whole Oval Office seemed to freeze for just a moment.
Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist.
You with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst.
Because the reporter's question about a murdered journalist living in America, killed on the say-so of a foreign crown prince, it wasn't just about a political assassination. It was driving at the core of what drives America's priorities, starting with the U.S. president